Good morning, everyone. Thank you for showing up on the third day at 8:30, bright and early. You're here to see how you can use adaptive cards in Bots, Windows, Outlook, and we're going to show how to use it in your app. My name's Matt Heidinger.
I'm David Clow.
And we're program managers on various teams, but mainly delivering adaptive cards. So before we talk about adaptive cards, I want to take a really quick second to talk about cards. People have heard the word cards. What do they really mean? I think we have some idea. And as a quick run through, this is a pretty typical Facebook feed. You guys have probably seen this. This is clearly a friend of mine sharing a video he had posted on YouTube. And as I scroll through this, Facebook looks like Facebook wherever you are. You see all this content from all the internet, but it looks like Facebook. You could see that same article, that same card, if you will, shared somewhere else, maybe on Edge's new tab page. And now it's clearly the same content. It's the same video. You'd recognize it. But now it looks and feels like Edge. It's kind of taken on a different brand. Another common scenario is when I just share a YouTube link on Skype or even Facebook Messenger. Same article. Now it looks and feels like Skype. And timeline has been a big focus at Build this year and last year. You can now, when I maybe click on that video in Edge, they will write an timeline activity that shows up as a card that looks exactly like timeline. So in short, when we say cards, we really mean sharing your content inside of a host experience. That's typically when cards play. And to represent those two sides, that dichotomy, David and I have come prepared with T-shirts.
Today I'm going to be a content creator.
And I'm going to be a host app. And we're going to represent those two sides so you guys can feel the whole picture.
And I'm not going to give you a good time, right?
OK, no. We're all in this together. So cards trace their roots to social media. We saw Facebook. We've seen Twitter. It started out general web content, articles, videos. Then users wanted more. People started demanding more. Depending on the platform you are on, you might see things like reservations. You might see things like weather. You might see things like reminders.
Are those all like hard-coded, or is there like something pre-built that I can use as a content creator?
Those today are at the discretion of me, the host app.
So
I've
you
decided what you can use. Yeah.
Like the whole layout, the colors?
I have your best interest in mind. I want to make sure the users get the content they want.
All right.
So we've started giving you even more. We can give you things like airline itineraries, airline flight updates, airline check-in reminders, restaurants,
Do I have to choose
receipts.
from 3 airline templates?
Well, there's 3 different types of airline activities. One's a flight update, one's the check-in reminder.
Okay.
Different card. We even have things like receipts. And then we basically want to know what you users want, and we will keep creating that. And I think that's...
Yeah, and actually, yeah, because I'm a little confused here. I own a company.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take my prop here. I own a scuba diving company.
A scuba template is what you need.
Yeah.
You want a scuba.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, I have a website. I coded it myself. Small company. I don't have plenty of resources. And I wanted to let people like you, for example, because you love scuba most likely, easily book lessons with me. And for that, I need cards. But the templates that you showed before, not exactly what I like.
Well, we'll get there. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about how those cards are authored today and why we're at where we're at today.
Yeah, and I have some experience with that, so I'll give you feedback.
So Twitter. Most of us probably use Twitter. We've seen it a lot. There's content through all over the internet, sourced through Twitter, and it's pretty much done with this. Some pretty simple meta tags. There's a type on all these cards. This one in particular is called a summary large image, and it's basically an image, a couple lines of text, and they can source in all the content from the internet and make it look like a cohesive Twitter feed. And that's good for us hosts. For Twitter, it means for my users, Twitter looks like Twitter.
Yeah, I'm sure. But this is super rigid to me. Yes, it's simple, but super, super rigid.
But you get that consistency for your users.
Yeah, but I don't get like my voice, expressed. I don't get my site to show its values.
Well, we've taken a stab at it. you may have heard of Open Graph. It's slightly more evolved than Twitter's very basic summary cards. And there are it's still very typed, though. You can see that OG type. That's an Open Graph type, where Open Graph has defined a set of standards for structured data. This particular one is an article. That's why when I share an article on Facebook, that's why New York Times, they all look and feel the same so that Facebook users can see the articles they want or the articles they don't want. But they all look the same. It all feels good and consistent.
Yeah. And I looked into that as well, and so first thing, like that card looks exactly the same as the one before, and yet I have to do it slightly differently. And again, it's super rigid. Like, how do I express myself? I understand your constraints, but
what if we changed those angle brackets into curly braces?
All right.
And gave you a template now called Airline Itinerary.
Okay.
And you mentioned scuba, but have you ever considered starting an airline?
I have considered, I don't think it's going to happen. But, so yeah, I mean, this looks good, but now you're kind of asking me to learn something else. And just so that I can achieve, again, a fixed layout. Plus, how do I customize this thing? Say I want to use it for my scuba. I find a way to use it for my scuba lessons. How do I customize it?
So that is actually a problem that we host apps have. We have to figure out what templates to go after. We have to figure out how to document it, implement it, and then, of course, roll it out to the client. So
are you saying I can't customize it?
That's right. Today you can't.
It's a non-starter, man. Come on.
So is there another way?
Yeah,
I
hope there is another way.
What they want?
Yeah, let's figure it out.
What if I just gave you an HTML canvas?
That's exactly what I want. I mean, every single time I have to do cards, I think, let me do HTML. Love it. I can have all the control I need with that.
You do have a lot of control, almost too much control.
Too much.
I want to make sure I can source this content. I want it to to be fast, and
it will be fast.
My
I
users need the control. They need the consistency.
I'll do it right. I will.
We've been there.
I feel you don't trust me here.
Is there another way? And so what we're really looking for is something between these fixed templates where, as the host app, I love fixed templates. I get control. I can source, and the internet, the breadth of the web is obviously huge. I want to make sure for my app, the content looks the same, but there are some drawbacks. I have to then implement these templates. I have to document them, and of course, I have to rev them into the clients, which means you potentially have versioning issues. There's also problems with HTML, as we kind of talked about.
So an in-between, essentially, right?
An in-between.
Something that gives us the best of both worlds?
Let's see if we can do it.
All right. I guess it's called adaptive cards.
for users. So let's switch to
All right. So number 7.
Yeah. So you mentioned you have a scuba company.
I do have a scuba company, and this is actually the website that I created, and I use the bot framework. This is my bot running in the web chat control, and I've actually used cards. So how about you pretend, no, actually don't pretend, just do it.
You're going to take me?
Give me some business.
You're going to, okay, all right.
Just book some lesson with me, with a bunch of people.
So I see your website has it's prompting me. I could book through the website, of course, but you've created this chat experience that greeted me and said, hi, I'm Katoso Dive Finder. I can help you. Where can I go scuba diving?
That's right.
So I'll click book scuba trip. Puts in the chat, okay, this looks nice. So I've got a little carousel of places that I can scuba dive. Oh, that turtle's caught my eye. I will go to
this one's
Adventure Works.
Okay,
perfect.
Strongly recommend it.
Oh, these are nice looking cards. So Alki Beach, so there are various places around here. If you're just visiting Seattle, these are great places to go before the rain sets in.
Alki is awesome.
Okay, let's do Alki. And it looks like now it's asking me how many people will be joining me. So, okay, so your cards have
just
inputs.
Say 10, 15, no?
Too.
You have 10 or 15 friends
10
who
people
want
that
to scuba
that
dive?
would go underwater with me.
Okay. Look at that nice calendar.
Cool. Okay, so we
Isn't
can do
that
a calendar.
fantastic?
All right, let's go on Saturday the 12th. And it looks like, okay, you offer us some food.
Yes.
Very cool. So if I choose beef.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So there's some interactivity here. I can say what I'm allergic to. I'll just go with none.
Easy.
Perfect, okay. And then tell you about me. So
real name, please.
All right, and I'm going to sign up. Okay, cool. I get a little receipt. I get weather. Oh, and something.
Yeah, don't mind that notification. This,
Okay.
like, just
Okay.
come
all
here.
right. All
It's
right.
my turn.
Well, I can't wait for Saturday.
Yes.
I hope a scuba instructor picks up my lesson.
Of course they will. So as at my company, for all the tech that we've used and implemented our app, we actually use several.
Forgot to wear my hat.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Now you know that I'm a scuba guy. Okay.
So we use multiple pieces of software at my company. There's one. It's an app that we've created. I'm going to have to find it. It's very small, and my eyes are horrible. If you want to help me, Matt.
Oh, we're looking for Teams or Outlook?
No, I use my UWP app, my beautiful
Oh, your UWP app is going to be right here.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have that UWP app that I use to track all the lessons that have been booked. And normally, if everything works okay, I receive the beautiful notification that's now appearing in the Action Center. So my app is there right now, but let's imagine it would have been closed for some reason. I click here, and of course I can click on my card, and it's going to spawn my application just like that. So this is one way we actually track bookings. But we also use Teams, right?
Okay.
I have a bunch of people internally, they like to collaborate and work together on that one channel, so they use Teams. And you've probably seen just a few moments ago that Teams popped a notification, and this is the kind of card that I got in Teams that summarizes essentially the booking that Matt just made.
I mean, it looks like Teams. It certainly feels like it fits in with the rest of the app.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. That's the host.
So the thing is, I can't do Saturday, so I'm going to have to.
Tell me.
Yeah, so let me start a chat right from this card here. So this is going to be my end of the app, and I'm going to say something nice to you. Hey, Matt, how about Sunday? And now it's back to you.
Move. And so now back here, okay, cool. So back in my message, I've seen, oh, an instructor has messaged me saying, how about Sunday? And I said, hi there, I appreciate the offer, but let's keep it Saturday.
Like, you decide now?
Yeah.
I'm the instructor, man. Okay, so back to me, I got that message back from Matt. Okay, he wants it to be on, I'll make it work.
Okay, perfect.
I'll make it work. And so I'm the boss at the company, and I so happen to be a little older than my other instructors, and I'm kind of old school. You know, I use email to do most of my stuff. And so let's just say that I was using email right now. I definitely have bad eyes, which talks to my old age. I'm not that old, but. And look at what I got in Outlook, something that looks extremely familiar because really it looks the same as what we had in Teams, except that now it's kind of styled the same way as what you'd expect to see in Outlook.
And this is an Outlook desktop.
This is an Outlook desktop,
okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And as you can see, I could still start a chat from here, but what I'm going to do here, and I'm just going to confirm the booking, and I'm going to click this button here, and I can enter some comments. I'll say, all right, I'll do Saturday.
You sound so disappointed.
Well, I had plans, okay? I'm going to confirm that, and as I confirm that, you can see that my email has been refreshed and now show that the booking is confirmed, and that's it. That's beautiful. That was really automated and beautiful. But cool. You know what? There's one more thing that my users have been asking for a lot. Like a lot of them have installed Windows 10 recently, and they love Cortana. And I was thinking, wow, if that whole bot experience could work in Cortana, that would be phenomenal. Can you do something for me?
All right, so now I'm gonna, there's more characters in this thing than a Game of Thrones episode. Now, I am David's back-end developer. I wrote the bot. You can see this bot has been published to these channels that we all saw. We saw Teams, we saw the web chat. I'm gonna show you how easy it is, assuming everything goes well with a voice demo, to configure the Cortana channel without changing any code. Let's upload a little logo here. When you add the Cortana channel, you add an invocation phrase. So this is what Cortana is going to use to use the voice recognition. Book scuba with me.
Yeah, so essentially you're just publishing my bot here
Right.
to Cortana. Do I have to write a single line of code?
No, we didn't change any code. We should, if all goes well, see those same beautiful cards with an entirely new engagement point for customers on Cortana.
I will not
And this is
believe
the
you.
live demo, so this thing is publishing and...
Unless I
Okay.
see it, I don't trust you.
The Cortana channel is live. This is... Bear with me. Hey, Cortana. She takes a second. Hey, Cortana. Ask, no, Contoso. No.
Let's try again.
Hey, Cortana. Ask Contoso where to scuba dive.
May I have your permission?
Yes. So it's connecting to the scuba
Good
bot.
afternoon. Please
Look
take a look
at
at
that.
the great
It's my
scuba
card.
schools nearby. Margie's Travel,
Wow, it's the
Sabacan,
same exact
Adventure Works,
thing.
or Relay Cloud Diving.
AdventureWorks.
At AdventureWorks, you have the choice of 3 scenic scuba destinations: Alki Beach, Golden Gardens Park, or Bainbridge Island.
Alki Beach.
How many people will be joining you? There is a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 6.
14. Oh, he said maximum of 6. We're going to kill it anyway.
It's okay.
But,
Wow,
that's
this
cool.
was like my bot now.
yeah,
So my bot is running in Cortana, and you can do 14 with it.
that's right. And you notice something really cool there is the speech was slightly different than the card in there. So clearly that's where we're taking advantage of this multi-sense world with those same cards.
This is really cool for me. I mean, like no additional work, and the experience just works. Amazing. Love it.
Perfect. You
So
wanna
let's go back
the
to
slides?
our beautiful deck.
So that was a lap around adaptive cards for users. You saw a ton of different engagement points. The main takeaway there is we're really trying to bridge that middle ground. We're acknowledging that there's this dichotomy. Oh, we're back at the host app. We're acknowledging it and we're actually embracing it and trying to set out to solve that problem, that there are 2 different competing parties that both have interests and both have challenges.
And you know, it was not HTML, but I was able to do exactly what I wanted, and that's
Yeah.
what really mattered to
Yeah,
me.
there
Yes.
clearly are no Scuba templates for any of that, so we can still get to...
So those experiences we've seen are coming to multiple Microsoft products, including Outlook, Teams, SharePoint,
Yes.
Timeline, obviously.
So Outlook is available...
Outlook is available as of 2 days ago, actually, in Outlook for the web. You've seen adaptive cards running in Outlook for the desktop, and this is coming hopefully by the end of the month. But yeah, available in Outlook, including the desktop.
There are cards in Timeline, and then Teams support is in active development. You saw it's close. That was a real demo. It'll be here pretty soon. And I see a question. Is it urgent, or do you mind if I hold it to the end? We'll have plenty of time for questions. Great.
And yeah, and adaptive cards are really not reserved to Microsoft experiences,
No,
right?
that's
This
right,
is
yeah.
really an open framework that you can use in your own applications, and we'll talk about that a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did all these demos for the sake of just showing them all on a PC rather than go back. But a key function of adaptive cards is that they are purely native wherever you are. So if we did that demo on the Teams app on Android, that is a native Android UI. It's going to be native iOS UI. It's going to be native on a car. It'll be the key thing of adaptive cards is always renders to completely native UI. We do ship SDKs for every major platform. They also automatically adapt to the host UX. So there's a clear separation between that content, the structure that I'm authoring, and then the presentation of it so that Teams can be in control, Skype can be in control, Outlook can be in control.
You know, for a content creator like me, the barrier to entry was really low. It's not like I had to imagine or implement a super expensive and complicated system. It was very low cost for me, like really, really low cost. And I didn't have to actually write a single line of code. So yes, I have business logic living on my servers, but as far as my cards are concerned, it's purely declarative, something that can be done very, very easily.
And that means they're safe, so we don't have to worry about, you know, if
Absolutely.
I'm a host app like Cortana especially, or, you know, I don't want someone injecting something that's going to start mining Bitcoins through my customers.
I would have loved to be able to do that, though, but too bad. Like, that's free mining, man.
So we mentioned it's purely declarative. You want to switch us back to 7 real quick? We mentioned it's purely declarative, but so far we haven't seen an adaptive card. So as a quick lap around, adaptive cards, we didn't totally mention it, but it's completely open source, a completely open standard. The site that we host everything at, documentation, is adaptivecards.io. We have our general gist here. You get the gist. And so what we have is a set of samples. And these are samples. These aren't templates. These aren't, if I click on this flight itinerary template, for example, this looks almost identical to the actual Messenger flight itinerary template, but it's not a template. We were using this as a litmus test of how expressive is the schema. Can we recreate some of these cards that some of the templates create? And so if we go into it, we can see a couple samples. I'll just flip through. So there's the flight itinerary. There was the flight update. We have a rich set of inputs, so you can do drop-downs, and again, all abstracted away so that this will create native UI on any platform that you happen to be on. We could do stock updates. Stock updates are surprisingly lacking in the template world. You could do weather, and again, these are just samples. So what we're going to do is take let's take a flight update card and take a quick look at the schema itself. So we have these try it yourself buttons like any good documentation of a schema would have. And you can see you're previewing this card in the bot framework web chat control. So we simulate the host app that it happens to be running. In this case, it's the bot framework web chat control. I could see what this card would look like as a Cortana skill. And we simulate. Again, the card has completely changed its appearance. Now it looks and feels like it fits in with Cortana. I could show what it would look like in timeline. We didn't show timeline. I could show that really quickly. So when he booked that booking, we should have been able to, let's see if there's Contoso in here. So here's where he accepted that booking through the UWP app that happened to publish a timeline activity. Again, using adaptive cards, looks and fits right in with timeline. And so our tooling makes it very easy to preview what that card would look like in various host apps. So let's just look at it in Cortana. And so this text delayed, let's go into it a little bit. So an adaptive card, as you can tell, is curly braces. So it's all JSON. It has this notion of speak at the top. So this top-level speak, that's what Cortana was using, or any experience could use, to determine what is the most appropriate thing to read aloud. You could imagine a notification going to a phone or a PC rendering a card, but when it's connected to a car and a headless display is reading the notification aloud, it lets you pair the two so you can have speak separate from the visual representation. So let's look at that text delayed and change that to an on-flight time. So now we say the text is on time. You see the visualizer updates in real time. But this color here is attention. Let me zoom in a little bit. So we have a set of semantic values for coloring, and that lets the host apps choose, OK, I said it's attention. I want to draw attention to that thing. My flight card wants to draw attention to it. In a lot of apps, that'll probably be some color of red. Could be anything. But if I choose good, now Cortana has decided that it's green. There's that clean separation of me. I'm saying my card, this is a good message, whatever good means, and then the visual treatment is up to each host app to interpret that. So let's click on. That was a lap around our text block. I won't go through all of the card details, but I encourage you to check out our tooling. Aside from the samples up at the top, we have this schema explorer. And so adaptive cards are comprised of simple building blocks. We let you combine them together to create all the expressive cards that you've seen. And so common ones, you would imagine, a text block. We have an adaptive card here. This shows what you can put in a card. A card has a body. It typically has actions. We do have the concept of fallback text. So you could talk to this bot in a text messaging app, and if you included fallback text, we'll actually return the text there and let you actually interact with the bot via text messaging. So it lets you really take advantage of this multi-sense, multimodal world in a single payload that can span that entire range. So if you'd scroll down, you'd see various just examples we have. This is a card here that looks almost like a task of something I should do. You can see that our actions can actually create other types of cards. So you can create relatively expansive interactivity Purely declarative, though. Everything in adaptive cards is purely declarative. There's never going to be any code running. And so we get into each type of property. You could see under text block, as we scroll down, here's the various properties on text block. And we try and have an example for each property. So you can use Markdown, for example, to highlight certain sections. You can draw color, draw attention to things. Here's our color palette. You can do things like horizontal alignment. There's subtle. You can set wrapping. Wrap can have a max lines. You can really customize that card to a decent degree. These sizes are interesting, too. I'm basically saying my default text is default, but if I choose medium for something, I want it to be bigger. It's, again, still up to that host app to tell the renderer what medium is. You don't get to choose physical pixel sizes. You just get to say, relative to my other text, this one's medium, this is extra large. So I won't go through everything. I encourage you to check out our Schema Explorer, the various types of inputs, the various types of actions. Those actions can do things like open URLs. You saw that when we clicked Start Chat, and it just opened up a chat experience right in there. We could do Show Card. That's how actions show other cards. And so editing this JSON, you know, we did it here. We're all developers. We kind of get it. But there are designers in the world who may not find this incredibly friendly.
And I wanted to talk about that. Thank you, Matt. I think we have something coming that is a little better. And I'd like to talk about it in the context of Outlook actionable messages. So let me switch to that other screen. So you've seen earlier the same card as the one that was displayed in Teams. In Outlook, and I was able to interact with it. What you've seen is what's called Outlook actionable messages, which is a feature that's been introduced about a year ago, which makes it possible to make emails more dynamic. So essentially, you can embed a small form with inputs and actions right inside an email and make it possible for your users to directly interact with your service, exactly as you've seen happen in this particular demonstration. So actionable messages shipped about a year ago, as I said, but using our original card format, which was called message card at the time, which was quite constrained. And as we were working on adaptive cards, we immediately thought, well, Outlook would greatly benefit from being able to render adaptive cards for actionable messages. So this is our big announcement for Build 2018, that now Outlook supports adaptive cards with actionable messages. And this is, you can get started immediately. It already works in Outlook for the web. It's coming to Outlook desktop at the end of the month, and hopefully it will come to other Outlook clients in the not too distant future. You go to dev.outlook.com. This is where you're going to find all the documentation, including information about how to send actionable messages via email.
We'll have links to all this at the end of the session as well.
So one aspect of Outlook that we're going to demonstrate soon is that it introduces a custom action type with adaptive cards that makes it possible for you to make an HTTP call from the client to your service. And I'm gonna show you an actual, I'm gonna try to code that almost completely live. It's always scary, but first, we were talking about, is there a better way to actually design cards?
Editing JSON is fine, but you know, when you're building a card from scratch, it does take a little bit of time.
I know. I mean, like everybody likes a designer, right? So we are introducing an adaptive card designer.
It's early.
As a preview. So this is a tool that you're going to be able to use to craft a card entirely via drag and drop and by setting properties in a, like any other designer that you've ever seen or used, essentially. So you don't have to discover how it works. So this is what it looks like at this time. This is an early preview. It will probably evolve considerably in the coming months, but hopefully we'll ship a final version relatively soon.
So the site is live today if you did want to play with it, but we'll have, again, resources at the bottom.
Absolutely. This is a live beta, acdesignerbeta.azurewebsites.net. This is probably not going to be the final URL, but for now it's exposed right there. You can go ahead and try it for yourself. So essentially you have a card here, and you can, you know, as you'd expect, select elements. And once you've selected elements, you can actually change the values using the property inspector. Let me do something highly...
That's my Swedish name.
I didn't know. How do I pronounce that?
I won't even try.
All right. So you can set the properties. You can also remove elements if you want. But obviously, you can also rearrange the card just by drag and drop, as simple as that. Right?
And there's a JSON editor at the bottom, so that's actually showing updating live.
Absolutely. This is going to show the exact JSON that is derived from the design. And actually, if you update the JSON, I'm going to remove that crazy string here. It also updates the card, right? Cool. So it's really bidirectional. So it works for designers, but it also works for developers if you want, right? It supports those little cards that drop down, as was demonstrated before. And again, you can drag and drop. You can add a fact set here and drag it in under, actually, I don't know where it went. See, it's a beta, right? And something seems, oh no, it's up there, sorry. So drag and drop new elements and so on. And, to actually show you that I can do something for real with it, let me actually implement an Outlook actionable message from scratch, almost, from the designer up to the moment that you see it displayed in Outlook and can interact with it. So what I'm going to do is implement a hello world applications in Outlook.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to have a card that asks the user for their name, and the user is going to click a button that's going to make a call to a service that's implemented as an Azure function, and that service will return a new version of the card that says hello and repeats the name. How?
Cool.
Let's do that. So I'm going to do it by just dropping a text box in here. I'm going to say hello world demo. I hope I'm not going to make spelling mistakes, but bear with me. I'm going to make it bold. I'm going to make it look good. I'm going to make it super large, right? So that's my beginning. Then I'm going to add another text block. I'm going to say, please enter your name. And under that, I'm going to add an input text, right? And this one, I'm going to give it an ID, and we'll see why. I'm going to give it the ID name. I'm going to change its placeholder, say name, please. Right? And now I actually need a way to submit that information to a third-party service. So I'm going to click on the card itself and add an action HTTP. As I mentioned, Outlook has that special type of action called action HTTP. I'm going to set the text here to, I don't know, it, or say hello. Looks better. I'm going to make a post call. And in the body of my post call, I'm actually going to pass the value of my name input. And to do that, I simply type this, name.value. That's it. Now, where do I post this thing? What's the URL? Well, here I've cheated a little bit because I didn't want to have to code that for real in front of you. That wouldn't have worked. So I have that Azure function that's already written. But as you can see, it's extremely simple. I receive a request, and I'm simply going to emit another card. You can see the JSON there, and put in my response. And I'm taking the request body and adding it to that hello. And that body is essentially going to be the value that was in my input. Right? So this is the function. I'm going to get its URL right here, copy that, go back to the designer, paste it in here. So right now, because this is a beta, a preview, we do not have the end-to-end flow implemented, but this is definitely coming. Outlook has its own tool. We have too many tools right now.
We have lots of tools.
We have the visualizer on adaptivecards.io. We have this designer. And Outlook has its own playground tool, which is essentially the same thing as the visualizer, but dedicated to Outlook, and it supports those HTTP actions and a way to send to an account. So that's what I'm going to be using now. All those tools eventually will be combined to have that one-stop shop, for everything adaptive cards. So I have the card. I'm going to grab its JSON control. This is the Outlook playground tool. And I'm simply going to paste that payload inside the editor. So same card, right? Just took the JSON from the designer, pasted it there. And now I'm just going to hit the send via email button. Hopefully, I won't have to authenticate again. And hopefully, it will actually send. And it doesn't. Oh, yep, done. And it so happens that I've also opened this particular account. So this is the card that I have received. I just sent that myself. And as you can see, the input is right there. And I can say, David, this is my name. I'm going to say hello. And the card refreshed to say, hello, David. So this is just to show you how easily you can actually implement an end-to-end scenario from designer to actually being able to interact with the card in the product. This is Outlook actionable messages, and we hope that you have plenty of scenarios that could actually benefit from this very super cool functionality to streamline business processes for your users. Of course, this also works in Outlook desktop, and I'm just going to go there real quick to show you that. You can see, for that matter, that in Outlook, the card has also been updated. So whatever action you actually take in a client, it will be reflected in another client that displays the same message.
Pretty cool.
And this is what I have. I hope you liked it.
Working demo, cool. Go back to 7. That was really cool. Oh, let me hide my notes. So we've shown editing JSON. We've shown how you can publish it. I want to take just a quick second to give the developers in the audience some love and the developers watching this session. Because, again, as that back-end developer,
might be a little small.
There's not, yeah, that's a good point. There's not a great way to go from that JSON in the visualizer into my real app. So we have a handful of different ways we could do it. For example, in the UWP app, we ship .NET, a .NET package called Adaptive Cards that you can install, and it's basically the entire thing as C# objects. So you can build up a card. You can say new adaptive text. It has all the properties, and that's great. And you could totally do that once you want to fill that card with real data. The challenge, though, is now that it's in this form, there's really no good way to go back to the visualizer. So we want to address that. We want to help. This is a perfectly acceptable way to build cards. I want to show a couple different ways that you can do that. So another way that I actually built in the back end of the bot was I have all those cards for the whole Scuba flow as JSON files in here. And I invented my own little curly brace binding syntax and do some very simple .NET string replace to basically generate the real card with real data. And that's fine. It's totally roll your own. You can make it work. We want to offer some things that make it a little more prescriptive if you want something a little more complicated. So how many of you in the room are familiar with Razor as like the CS/HTML, the .NET, ASP.NET stuff? So a handful of you.
Wow, nice. Lots of people here.
Yeah. So we had some fun with Razor since that's entirely used for generating ASP.NET pages. So it's typically, again, it's back to angle braces, angle brackets, and that posed a little bit of a problem. So I'll show you what this looks like. This is another type of card, and I'll just show you what that looks like if I type in show me local wildlife, and what that card is going to return is just an image set that we have that goes around. Oh, well, you would normally see wildlife. Wildlife. Danger.
Not everything.
Handful. Danger is supposed to do something too. I'll show you what it does though. So this is a little weird. What this is the entire adaptive card schema. You saw it serialized in JSON form. There's no requirement that it's JSON. It's just a really great wire protocol, right? Obviously, the web speaks it. Everything REST speaks it. But for a developer, it's just not that friendly to type. So as an option for developers, you can install this NuGet package we call Razorback. And we'll have a link to it later. But it's the entire adaptive card schema in XML form. So I can say, here's my card, there's a container, here's this text block. And I can use Razor's model binding syntax to actually get full come on, Visual Studio, show me. So it lets you kind of bind this to real data. So Razor is this whole thing. There's a model behind it. You say this is my model type, and then you build a card like this. And you can do some really neat stuff like at for each. The at in Razor lets you bust out into C# code. You can write any C# code you want here. In this case, I'm doing a for each loop around my images and basically building up a card with these 9 images. The library then loads this up at runtime and then serializes it to normal JSON. So once that card gets delivered, all you're ever getting is JSON through the wire. This is strictly a developer time experience, lets you author these cards in a slightly different way. So that's for people familiar with .NET and Razor. We encourage you to do that. Again, it's just generating JSON in the back end, another way to generate JSON without doing like string replace. And for you Node developers, any Node server developers in here? Handful, 5 or 6. You might be familiar in React, there is the concept of JSX. So they took a different approach, where when you're building a React component, you can write your HTML or your UI in the JavaScript file. So this does the same approach that you just saw in Razor, only for JavaScript developers. And so JavaScript has JSX. It's usually coupled with React, but it's not a requirement. And we've created something we're calling ACX, Adaptive Card XML. And it's the exact same idea. This is the entire adaptive card schema. You can see I could say a card. It's got body, text size. We get full IntelliSense, so I can say horizontal alignment center.
I love the IntelliSense.
You can do binding in here, so I can say true or false. This just lets you, again, generate this card. You can use full JSX syntax to do like the the ... operator. And it lets you build up these cards that, again, just get serialized to JSON. The whole point of this is if you're writing a Node server and you just want to return JSON from the server, this is a decent developer time experience so that the JSON you're generating is a little less error prone than just kind of flat JSON files with string replace. So links to those tools will be shown. And again, just trying to meet developers where they are at these card authors. Head back to slides. So that was a lap around adaptive cards for card authors. All of us creating content, the Davids of the world, the Scuba people of the world, creating content.
Plenty of tools already, and we're just getting started.
So a quick summary. Adaptive cards, the schema, is really this extensible schema that lets you describe your content in the way that makes sense to you.
Yeah, and you can take actions from cards. You can open a URL. You can pop up that inline card. You can, just like in Outlook, make HTTP calls and more.
There's also a rich set of inputs to gather. We didn't show a ton of them, but you can do anything from complicated drop-down list to radio buttons, toggles, all the common inputs you would think that, again, will render completely natively anywhere that adaptive card is rendered.
Absolutely. And of course, cards can be spoken, as was demonstrated with Cortana, so you can associate custom speak properties to instruct the host exactly how it's supposed to speak the card. And that does not have to match with the visual layout.
Mm-hmm. We also showed some tooling. So we have that interactive visualizer, the Schema Explorer. We didn't show the VS Code previewer, but it's the same idea. It's that visualizer. If you have a JSON editor and you have a card preview for it, we have a nice tool.
Yeah, and you can install it very easily from the Visual Studio Code add-in store or whatever it's called. And of course, the designer that is now in preview.
So we've shown those cards. We've shown how you author them. How does the picture get painted? I've said native rendering. What really happens here? So what happens is a card service or some card is generated. If it's an app, it might be sending a notification. It's generating this JSON content in some way. That card gets combined with what we call an adaptive host config. And that's that host config file that I'll try and remember to show you. It's the same idea. It's a JSON serialized format, but it's the host perspective. It's my perspective, which says things like, what's the font family you want to use? What are the font sizes? It's describing the visual behavior and the experience. And those two things combined together create the adaptive card that gets rendered natively to Windows, Android, iOS, the web. We have a handful of other platforms coming. And so we released these SDKs in March. We were preview. I had the privilege of announcing this stuff at last build. It was very early, very rough. We're now officially released as of March. You can get started today. We'll have all those links. And you're certainly starting to see it in more and more Microsoft experiences.
Yeah, and just bring it to your own experiences. We're going to try and demo something like that right now.
Yeah, so let's show what it looks like from the host app. Would you switch to 7 again? And just because I want to show something a little fun, what I've got here is an old school WinForms app. This is a standard WinForms Visual Studio solution that has been upgraded, but it's still just WinForms. And I wanted to try out the XAML Islands feature that was announced at the keynote. Kevin said that it works, and I really wanted to try it. And so what you're going to see when I F5 this, oh no. What on earth have I done there?
Demo effect, man.
Yeah,
that's the way it goes.
Unreal. I ran this like 100 times. Still failed and no warning. So we're going to restart that solution. That's fine. And while that is reloading, I do want to show, actually, would you, if your machine's up, do you want to show them the host config editor and the visualizer?
I can try to do that if my machine comes back from its sleep state. Yes, it's there. So let me go back there. And I'm 6. So host config, let's just go there.
Yeah, just go to the visualizer and we can show. So at adaptivecards.io, we've shown you the visualizer. There's actually 2 tabs there, kind of an oft overlooked one, because most of us, are content creators. There's not a whole ton of host apps. But we've got this tab here that's the host config editor, and it's the other side of that card.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's not something that the author is supposed to author themselves, obviously. It's reserved for the host, but the tool makes it possible, both the card author and the host.
Right, so for example, if you change that font family to something like Consolas.
So do that, Consolas.
Yeah, we're developers after all. So you can see that my card hasn't changed, but now my app is, it's a terminal app or something, and I want to make sure that all those cards come through in this font family. You could also change the sizes, so maybe you want to use default size 10, for example.
Let's make it huge.
Oh, that's a very big card. Clear separation between the font families, spacing, you can control colors. Obviously, Cortana is a dark on light theme.
Yeah, that was too big.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you switch back to 6, I've got WinForms running.
All right.
Spoiler.
Let's do that. 7.
Yeah, 7, sorry. So this is my WinForms app, that logo that lives on for ages. And this is actually using, so this is fully rendering card. I can actually click on more info here, show you that actions work. Oh, you're seeing sets interacting with,
You've been rickrolled.
I forgot
Did
that's
you know?
Actually in there. That's actually in our default payload that we get rickrolled.
Oh my goodness.
Perfect.
Self-rickrolling. That's
I love it.
unheard of.
So this is showing a WinForms app using the WPF renderer. And all I had to do to make this work, in fact, what I want to show is that, so you can see WinForms Form 1. I'm in the code behind a Form 1. I'm using our Adaptive Cards WPF renderer. I don't know if NuGet works, so I just installed the DLL normally. So it's just using our WPF renderer. And I didn't do anything. I newed up a renderer. You can see, so our renderer has a concept of host config. And so I can say the font family is Consolas here. I can edit this in code. But what's really cool about host config and why we built host config and serialized it to JSON is that you could certainly imagine that Cortana, for example, or Skype or Teams have their host config hosted somewhere in the cloud. All of our renderers will download that and create a very similar looking card on every platform. So our iOS SDK speaks that same host config, our Android SDK, our WPF SDK.
Yeah.
So you can author that host config once and light up all these platforms, and you'll get a really similar looking card everywhere.
You can essentially have one host display cards like any other host.
And so you can see I changed that font family to Consolas, and now my WinForms app is showing in the Consolas font. And so I won't jump through a whole bunch of this, but effectively, all I'm doing is loading this card3.json, which is just, it happens to be the restaurant card. So I've got some JSON somewhere. Obviously, in a real app, it would be delivered through the cloud or something. I say adaptive card.fromJSON. I see if it parsed correctly, and if so, I get the card object out of it. And then I just say, hey, renderer, render this card. From there, you get a rendered card. And that rendered card has things like the framework element. So this same pattern is going to be applied on all of our SDKs. So in iOS, you would do the similar thing, obviously just in Swift or Objective-C. On Android, you do the same pattern just in Java. They all have this same general pattern. You rendered a card. You need to hook up the action events. So we have that. We have an action handler. And I say, oh, if this is an open URL action, all I'm doing is that process.start. This is up to your app to decide how you handle actions. We showed that Outlook can implement even new types of actions. I should have emphasized that the schema is designed to be extensible. Outlook clearly did it to extend our actions. You're not limited
you can
to
also
just
extend
what the
elements as well.
You can extend elements. Host can,
If you were to use adaptive cards for your own needs internally, it can be used for your, you don't need necessarily to receive cards from an external source. So internally, you could, I don't know, create a custom element type for a chart
bars,
or whatnot. You know, plenty of possibilities. The schema is extensible indeed. And the renderers, the SDKs, implement that extensibility.
Yeah. So if you want to head back to slides. So that was a quick lap around WinForms showing our WPF renderer. Pretty neat. I mean, that's kind of neat that it just rendered all of those.
I think that's awesome. I mean, those islands, super cool. I don't have to rewrite everything.
So we do have more SDKs coming soon. Nothing to announce today, but you'll start to see it flow into our GitHub pretty soon. Xamarin and React Native. We have a React XP version and a React Native one. So we're building more and more SDKs. Again, cards. We should have stressed it. Cards have to be ubiquitous. That's why they took off. Twitter, Facebook, they have to be able to render everywhere. So we want to make sure we have SDKs. We want to make sure we make it easy. If you want to render a card on a watch, you should be able to do that. That's why we kept the schema relatively lightweight.
That was one of the big goals from day one with adaptive cards. A format in itself is not that useful. We wanted to provide as many renders as necessary to target the most popular platforms, so that the barrier to entry is actually very, very low. If you decide to render cards in your own application, you should not have to invest too much time parsing and understanding and rendering a schema.
Absolutely. So what's the ecosystem look like today? You've seen cards in bots.
Yep, in bots. So you've seen them in Teams. You've seen them in Cortana. We're gonna keep on working on bots and hopefully expose adaptive cards in more hosts. And there's the Windows side of things.
We've also got them in Windows. We've got them in Timeline. You saw an early preview of notifications. You were able to customize all your notifications and Timeline and some future Windows experiences.
And of course, I'm going to insist again, this build, this conference this year is it's our big announcement for Outlook Actionable Messages with adaptive cards. So it's, again, available right now. This is the URL where you need to go to look at our documentation. And I also want to outline that we have quite a big set of partners that are immediately going to jump on Actionable Messages with adaptive cards in terms of productivity. GitHub, Asana, and Limeade will all be sending beautiful cards that you can interact with. At the keynote, you probably saw the demo for GitHub and Limeade. So in GitHub, for example, I'm going to be able to comment on an issue or even close it. And we also have payment support in Outlook coming very soon. And we have a bunch of partners. Hopefully, you got time to see it. I was
Sorry, it's animated.
That's totally fine.
So lastly, obviously, this is a new problem space. We're really excited about it. I mean, this really helps us, I think, it helps hosts get what they want. You still retain that tight control. You still get the performance. You don't have to worry about security interrupt. You don't have to worry about any of these cards injecting code into your apps or impacting your users.
But we need you. I mean, we need you to help us shape the future of this format. We need you to start potentially using adaptive cards in your own solutions. We need you to start sending adaptive cards in bots, in actionable messages. We need you potentially to let Twitter, Facebook, and other major players in the industry know that you would like for them to support adaptive cards in their own products. We kind of hope that adaptive cards could become that universal card format that you can use to target pretty much any important host on the planet.
And so we didn't want to end just on that, asking for your help. We did want to give you a quick peek at some pain points we want to address.
Yeah, so you've seen the tooling that we have, and we've briefly mentioned that we realized that it's not necessarily easy to start from, designing a card, either with the designer or in JSON, and then taking that into your application, maybe injecting some real data in there, and then sending it through a bot channel or an actionable message.
And on the subject of data, I mean, we went in there to say, hey, not everything's templatized or schematized and structured data like airlines and stuff, but we realized that a lot of your data is. And for those people who do have structured data, couldn't we give you just a really good-looking card?
That would actually be awesome, even for scuba, maybe, no?
Maybe.
If I had no work to do, it would be even better.
So let's do a quick lap around some things we're thinking for Adaptive Cards 2.0. Again, this is a preview, but just highlighting some early thinking we're doing. So I've got an early version of our editor here. Let me try and make it a little bigger. And there's a very common scenario, right? Maybe your bot sources content from Yelp, or it gets restaurant data, or it gets some kind of data. And I say, hey, here's the best Mexican restaurant near Redmond, Washington. What I could do, and what you have to do today, you could go over to adaptivecards.io, click on our samples, and we do happen to have a restaurant card that we've decided that isn't too bad. You could copy this, replace it with real data, and then use that to source real data. And that's fine, and that works. But what if we could make that just a little bit easier? So what I'm going to do is take this Yelp URL. It happens to be a restaurant, La Isla. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But we're going to take, under our body here, we're going to do a new type of element called data.
I think you need a curly bracket before.
Good point. And by adding that, and this all happened live, it actually hit that service, it hit, hit that URL. A lot happened there. It hit that URL. That URL happened to return a set of structured data that we were looking for. How many of you are familiar with schema.org? So it's slowly kind of making the rounds. Schema.org is an open standard for schematizing structured data. It's a partnership with Microsoft, Google, all major especially SEO, use these things. That's why when you go to Bing or Google and you search for restaurants, they all have those little card-looking things. It's because Yelp has decorated their URLs with this type of data. So for example, there's restaurants in here. And so we're basically hitting that URL, seeing if there's any structured data on it. And the data you can see is, when that loads up, it's just data. It's does this restaurant accept reservations? Do they have a menu? Do they serve cuisine? What's their star rating? So what our service is doing is hitting that URL, gathering the type of structured data. First of all, what is it? In this case, it's a restaurant. And then we have identified a template that we decide is a good-looking restaurant template and rendering it in the card.
So really what we're doing here, or what we are aiming at doing, is just the same as schema.org has formalized data, we want to do the hard work of formalizing the visuals, while still only asking for a client, a host, to implement one simple contract. Render adaptive cards. And you can just use our renderers for that. If you can render adaptive cards, and if you receive data, then with that centralized service, we can dynamically provide you with the right visuals for your host, for your screen size, et cetera, et cetera. So essentially, we are bringing back templates, but on many steroids.
What's really neat about this, so I added in, so there's this implicit repository here. So at adaptivecards.io/component/restaurant, we have a handful of them. What the plan is that we'll have this whole directory of all the common types, and we'll expand to it. It will be user modifiable is the hope. Developers should be able to submit their own.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
also acknowledge that there are probably multiple types of layouts. For example, let's say my card was rendering a list of restaurants. And so it's going to hit this service 3 times. So this is a common one. If I say, you know, hey, Cortana, what are the best 4-star restaurants near me? And that card would actually have 3 different restaurants in it. So what we'd like to be able to do is put those in a container and say, hey, I have 4 types of data. And this should load eventually. And what it's doing is 4 completely different Yelp links. It's also showing we have this layout property, because we realize that, sure, we have a restaurant. There's probably going to be multiple ways to lay out a given restaurant. In this case, I want to show the compact layout so that they can stack nicely together.
But we are doing the hard work of creating those visuals for you. And we're going to create more and more and more and publish more and more and more. If we see that a data type is becoming popular for whatever reason, we will work on creating a template. So really, you don't have to do that. We will do that for you. And the community will be able to contribute.
And there's the couple of restaurants shown in a list, just by using this data component. We have a handful of other ones. You could obviously see if there's, you know, an article. This is just pointing to a URL at vox.com. We could paste in an article to YouTube, which happens to be another great song. And we could even do hotels, you know, so this is an Orbitz link. So this is all really working in live. And what's really neat, the thing I really need to stress, this is built using, this is going to be a total eyesore, but I want to show it just to give you a quick look at how these things are built. You've seen the double curly braces. What we're really investing in is these templates get sent down. They're all JSON. What we're talking about is transforming that data into an adaptive card using this JSON transform language. We're working with the open source community to standardize this. It won't be coupled to adaptive cards, but you can almost think of it as XSLT for JSON. We want to be able to transform that data into JSON on the client. So that's an important piece. This service
or the server,
today,
for that matter, not
right.
just the client.
But yes, exactly. The important piece is my service doesn't have to hit this Yelp link. If you imagine that I'm sharing a URL to an internal SharePoint site that only that app has access to that URL, you could still download a template. Let's say we have a handful of Office templates for Word documents or PowerPoint documents. You could download that template via that URL, this template URL, bind it to the data client side, and still get a great looking card without ever having to send your data to our server. So that was a key initiative that we really wanted to make sure that you don't have to send us data just to get this great functionality.
I'm going to hit the nail one more time because I think it's very, very important that this sinks in. If your client, if the host is capable of rendering an adaptive card, then all of that comes for free. Like, yes, they look like fixed and hard-coded templates, but they are not. They're dynamically delivered, and the library of those templates is going to continually evolve, right? It's not like the host has to hard-code those layouts. This is really, in my opinion, this could be a game changer. Mm-hmm.
So there's one other piece that this whole, if we do have this ability to client-side data bind, you enable a really neat scenario where, let's say we took that stock update template. So again, we've got a stock update. If I ever wanted to populate this with real data, it'd be great if I could just say, try it yourself. And what I'd want to do is just take this and maybe bind it to, this is the company name, et cetera, et cetera. This one's the date. You know, it'd be great if I could do this in the visualizer and then just bind that to my data, have a nice editing end-to-end experience. What I've done is actually that very same thing right here. I've taken that card and replaced it with all these curly braces. And now, as you can see, great, now I can go back to it for my development environment. That's great, but I've lost almost all the rich visualization of this thing. So if you guys are familiar with, remember, sample data and design data, what if we could just add in this $sample data here, populate that with your data object, and now I can live preview those bindings at once, showing the card. Oh, that's really hard to see.
Beautiful.
All I've added is $sample data. So this lets you then save this file with the bindings in it. You know, it's just got the curly braces for price. So you can then use it at runtime, say, hey, here's my template, here's the data, get a real stock card really easily, and you get to do that whole end-to-end, going from your dev environment back to the visualizer, maybe to make a change, and you keep them all together.
Yeah, really cool. Love it.
So that was a quick lap around the adaptive 2.0 stuff. Yeah, let's go back to the deck.
All right, so
Pretty neat stuff, the adaptive 2.0 stuff.
yeah. So if you want to get started, Adaptive Cards is at adaptivecards.io. You will find the link to GitHub over there. You have that connect little section at the top in the toolbar. If you want, yeah, go ahead.
The Scuba bot, that source code is live right up there. The whole bot from the Cortana interaction, you can get that now today, play with it. Cortana Skills is live in Windows. You could do that entire experience today. Timeline is live.
Yes, so Outlook actionable messages are live as well. Documentation is there. We're going to publish a new lab very soon that will be all open source on GitHub, so you can take that and implement a scenario end-to-end. And the developer tools, yes, again, multiple of them right now, but hopefully in the not too distant future, we'll have that one mega tool that can do it all.
So we've got 9 minutes for questions. We want to give you guys, that was a long session. We want, there is a mic there. Stretch to 75 minutes. We're going to play this little outro video that we had worked on to give you a feel for adaptive cards.
Yes, and thank you very much.
Hit play on that.
Or is it, yeah, sorry.
Our little outro video while people queue up.
No sound?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
if we can get sound out of the projection machine, that'd be great.
Order for businesses to keep pace in a vast world of innovative content. Adaptive cards provide a flexible, JSON-based schema that's beautiful by default, empowering you to be open to any content. As a purely declarative solution, adaptive cards provide the performance and security you need to deliver engaging experiences. Native renderers for all major platforms ensure your content comes across fast and fluid. With built-in separation of layout and styling, integration is easy. And bring in fresh new content faster than ever from an ever-growing network of providers. All built on open source and open development practices, enabling innovation that benefits everyone. Adaptive cards give you effortless and endless possibilities to shape the future of your experiences. Open yourself up to content with adaptive cards.
And with that,
Yeah, so we'll take some questions.
we'll take questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Check. Can't believe they're applauding for my question already.
Yeah.
Hey, this is great stuff, and you guys made it as a fun session as well, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Two questions. So first one on the actionable messages with adaptive cards.
Yes.
My understanding is that you attach a JSON payload, and then the message becomes an actionable message.
That's correct.
So does it mean that it has to be a message delivered from a bot or a system, or if a third party, like my customer is sending me an email, that this blob gets attached, or this payload get attached automatically, and that every message in my email becomes an actionable message?
So technically, any message can become an actionable message. However, actionable messages are not open bar, right? Because there are spam issues, potentials, like bad stuff could happen if we just let actionable messages flow freely. So when you have an actual scenario, you have to register with Office 365. We validate that what you're doing is okay, and we let you call into specific target domains, so you can't just make calls to random URLs or whatnot. So it's a control mechanism, and the entire flow from start to finish is completely secured. We start from DKIM and SPF to validate that the sender is registered with us, and when actions are executed, the third-party server is able to assess that the call is coming from Office 365 through a token that is signed by Microsoft.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. And then the second one is, maybe it's a stupid question, but the adaptive card service itself, is that something that we run as an enterprise business application provider in our cloud environment, or is it actually running in the Office 365 host?
Did you mean the preview stuff that we showed?
No. Even the one that's GA, the adaptive card service, like.
There is no adaptive card service. So the way it works is JSON has arrived to the client somehow, and we have a renderer library that just renders it. We don't actually get involved in how that.
Are you referring to the little cloud?
Yeah, I'm referring to the little cloud.
Is whatever the source is, essentially.
Oh, I see.
For bots, it's one thing. For notifications, it's one thing.
Okay, there's no centralized host type thing. Okay, got it.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We saw how cards can change permanently according to what you do, like you click on a button and then you get a new card. Let's say it's a plain check-in email that's sent to a party of 4 people, and any of those 4 can check in on my behalf. Is there any way my personal version of the email can know that somebody checked in on my behalf?
So currently, no, but we are working on a way to do that. And I'm not going to say more than that but I don't want to go into details, but we are working on a way that would make it possible for the card at the time that is displayed, then before it is even displayed, to make a call to your service to determine its new state. So essentially, you could have that email sent to 2 different users. One user takes an action. That action is taken in your service, and you register it. And then the next user sees the email in their own email client. And before the card is displayed, a call is made to your service, and you're able to refresh the card to show its latest status. That's the kind of stuff that we want to enable, but this is not ready yet. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And is there any limitation to the payload I can submit as part of a post? Like, can I embed some whatever payload?
For as long as it's an adaptive card and you're using valid constructs, there's no real limitation as to what you can pass.
Okay.
Thanks.
I want to echo what the first guy said. Thank you guys for doing this. It was a fantastic session. It's really got my mind running. One of the things I was wondering about is from an Outlook perspective, if we build an adaptive card, a lot of times we need to know who did the action. So
Yes.
the email may have gone out to multiple people. How do we track who did the action on it?
So let's say the right way to do this, there are multiple ways to do it. You can either completely trust Office 365. When you receive the call, your service will get a signed token that you can crack open. We have sample code for that. And that will contain the user's Office 365 identity, right?
Okay.
But what you can do also is, as you encode your actions in your card, you can put some sort of an opaque token that represents the user on your side, right? This, you make sure, is passed back to you as the post or get call is made to your service. Combine that with the signed token, the identity in the signed token, and you are sure who is taking the action, right?
Okay.
Actions, by the way, if you were to send a card to one particular user and that user is supposed to be able to make the action but nobody else, we ensure that this is the case, right? Actions cannot be replayed by somebody who is not supposed to take it.
Okay, fantastic. The other question I had was from a phone perspective, like email clients. We do a lot of work off of phones and emails. Are things like iOS email, or are there apps that are going to be available that can do these things as well?
We are working on bringing actionable messages with adaptive cards to as many, if not all, Outlook clients as possible, including the ones
If you put it on
on
Outlook
phone.
desktop, you can put it anywhere.
Exactly. Like, believe me, if we can put it in Outlook desktop, we can put it anywhere.
Okay.
So we are working on that. We don't have anything to announce just yet, but this is coming.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
G'day. If you're using the adaptive cards in your app, how would you go about creating that signed header to send back? Is there a way to do that? So Outlook will return you a signed authorization such that at the other end it knows that it was you. How would you do that in your own app? Is there a way to do that yet?
I think you'd have to hand roll everything like that. Right now, adaptive cards, the only infrastructure we provide is that a card has gotten on this device and we will render it for you with the right styling. We don't actually get involved in transport at all at this point, just because we want people, we want to see, we don't want to get prescriptive too early because we want people to do things like that they need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially, the channels are implementing their own, security mechanisms and their own ways for you to assess who took the action. Through a bot, your bot will know what channel is, and it will know what user is interacting with the bot. In Outlook, the HTTP action, as I was just, has that signed token that contains the identity of the user.
Say the XAML Island, where would it get it from?
I'm sorry.
Say you were using the XAML Island, where would that get it from, is more the question I'm asking.
But yeah, you'd have to do that yourself. You'd have to implement it.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Two questions. One, David, you said you can stop the wrong person from taking the action on an actionable message. Because one of the things I'm thinking is it's a message, so I could forward it or reply to it and then add someone to the CC.
Yes.
Will they see the same actionable adaptive card that I would see?
So when you forward and reply, the card itself is stripped off the message, and the only thing that the people will, the recipients will see is the HTML body of the message. We didn't talk about that much, but actionable messages in Outlook, it's completely backwards compatible with any email client, because you still craft the HTML body as you would normally would, and you just prepend the card. You have the opportunity to show the card in addition to the body or as a replacement to the body. What we do as the message goes through the Office 365 pipeline, actionable messages for that matter is an Office 365 feature, right? We assign the card payload and we associate it with the recipient, right? So we know who that card was for, and when the user eventually gets it and takes the action, we're able to correlate and say, well, this is the expected user, and so on.
Okay. Second question, have you thought about a field type of browse control? So choose a file.
So browse control, it's not the first time this comes up. I'm going to put a stake in the ground. Of course, we can always imagine everything, but adaptive cards is about not relying on any particular underlying rendering framework. Not HTML, not XAML, not whatever. If we had the opportunity to put a web browser control in there, the risk is that people would use that as the opportunity to embed an entire app into a rectangular area and not do cards at all. That is not the goal, right? So the stake in the ground that I would like to put right now is that it will probably not happen, because that's not what we're trying to do.
You could define a file chooser and then allow the host to determine how to actually make it work.
Were you saying a file chooser or a web
Yeah,
browser?
a file chooser.
File input has been requested, and that we can
Yes,
probably
I'm sorry.
I
I misheard your question. I thought you wanted to host HTML within a card.
No, the file chooser.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very sorry.
I think you guys just answered my question, but just to confirm, if I'm viewing a message with an adaptive card on a non-supported client, like an iOS mail, it just doesn't render the card. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
So you
We'll
just get that
show the HTML
body.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Hello. Yeah, great talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, two questions. One, the design which is in beta, is that potentially going to be open source at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be on GitHub, where it's not published just yet, but I'll probably hit the pull request button like today or within the week.
Awesome. And then the second one is you mentioned watches. Is there any work being thought of maybe even smaller surface like watch areas?
We don't have anything we can announce, but it's certainly something we've been engaging with people on. You can render an adaptive card anywhere. I mean, it's so we stuck with primitives, composable primitives, that it would be doable. But nothing to announce.
With the service that Matt showcased in the end, what we're thinking of with 2.0. If you think about it, we really have the possibility to dynamically provide adaptive card payloads that will work across a wide variety of screens. So this is one potential direction to support watches and things like that.
Awesome, thanks.
So guys, we're gonna we take the rest of the questions down here where they're actually gonna start wrapping us up. Sorry, we'll be right down there. Thanks everyone.
Thank you very much.